How's the
session.
feeling when you're standing on the stage and you're speaking?
I think it was just too good. Like, and honestly, since I love speaking in such crowds, so it
Acha,
just
you
felt
love?
home.
You
Yeah,
love
yeah, I
doing?
love speaking. So even in like school, I was quite active in all these activities.
Okay.
Yeah. So it just
Debates
felt
and
home.
all.
Debates and all the co-curricular activities, elocutions and everything.
Elocutions and all.
Yes.
Okay. When you've got CA All India rank, of course people get distracted. Drugs, alcohol, stuff like that, right? Surrounding jo hote hai. So how did you stay away from that?
It's just important to take breaks, and each one has their own way of unwinding. So for me, it's going for a dinner, a movie outing, or just a small travel plan. Understanding the business, which means the founder's background, their pedigree in running the business, the qualitative aspects of the business, how they plan to execute it, the designing, etc.
If someone gives you 1 crore and takes away your CA AIR All India rank, what would you do?
No
Yes
way.
or no?
My AIR is very close to my heart.
10 crores.
No.
100.
I wouldn't trade that for any money.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Level Up Podcast. On today's episode, we have a CA rank holder and someone who started her career in the venture capital ecosystem very early on. She has invested in multiple startups and handholds them successfully. Welcome, Sonakshi Gupta.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
How are you doing today?
Doing great. Just enjoying Mumbai summers.
Acha, you just said that you found this location very good, so
Oh yes. I
something
think-
which is not seen in Mumbai very regularly. So
Yeah, it felt like I've come to some beachside location with all these bungalows giving beach vibes. But yeah, didn't know something that actually existed in the heart of Mumbai.
yeah, actually, even I didn't know when I had first come here
Yeah.
to see, and I liked it in the first go. Like, I saw a couple of other studios, but I just ended up liking this because the whole vibe is so cool and it's so
Yeah,
quiet,
there were
it's so
monkeys
peaceful.
and jackfruit trees and everything. So
You don't
too
feel
exotic
like
to be
Mumbai.
here, yeah.
All right. Okay. Tell us something about yourself, probably that we don't know. Tell me something about yourself other than your professional life, which we'll come to later on. But how are you as a kid? How are you growing up? Run us through that little bit.
Sure. So, first of all, I'm totally born and brought up in Mumbai. So, being through the city throughout my life. And being in Mumbai, like just something apart from my professional life, which no one knows. Like I'm a big foodie. So, I've been enjoying street food and just obviously my mom's a great cook as well. So, I've been enjoying that since childhood. So, yeah. So, I think that's always fascinated me a lot. And apart from that, I've always been open to trying a lot of new things, like very experimental in terms of like trying a new sport, trying a new adventure. So I've been very open to that throughout life. And but otherwise, schooling, college, everything was also Mumbai. So heart and soul is from Mumbai, and been from that. So love the city. But yeah, that's pretty much about my growing years, and yeah.
Okay. So you said you're a foodie.
Yes.
I think now you stay at Goregaon, right? I think there is a Khao Gali nearby, a Kandivali Khao Gali or
Yes,
something.
yes, there's a cow gully everywhere, and Goregaon, as you rightly said, though, is famous for food. Yeah.
So what is your favorite street food?
Street food is dosas or anything. If you mix Chinese and dosas and Frankies, I think that makes my day. Yeah.
So you eat street food and outside food or something regularly, or you're more into
I
health
don't think
health conscious food?
Not really. I don't think I can ever diet. I'd rather exercise and keep fit. So I think my week is not complete without a street food or an outside dish. Actually, I would say that street food or any other food outside.
So whom do you go with, or you just go alone? Agar man kiya to you go alone, or what? You
So
have some
my family's
partners.
also a foodie. My partner's also a foodie. So all of us, just try to make a plan once a week or something.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So I am also growing up and I'm living in the company of foodies. So I think that's a plus.
So did you also learn how to cook from your mom, who cooks well, or?
Yeah,
no?
I try to. So that is still an ongoing process.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't say I don't think I will ever be as good as a cook as her. But trying to. That's always on my list to at least learn one dish. but very soon I will try to get there, but not even close to that point.
Okay. What sport do you play?
So I love badminton, table tennis,
Oh,
and
wow.
now it's summer,
Okay.
so we just go for a swim whenever possible.
All right.
Yeah.
So badminton is something which my wife and me also play. I think almost daily at
Nice.
night. Once when she's back from work, when I complete. So at night, I think it is a good kind of a exercise or a workout also. And plus, we get really competitive. So
Same. So even my
it is-
husband's also like he's great at sports. So just now and then we play a game of badminton or table tennis or go for a swim together as well.
Ha.
So, yeah.
I think that's really interesting and good
Yeah,
that
it's
you
good to
get.
have a hobby together like that.
And probably daily, at daily after work, I think it is important to.
Yeah, it's a good
Probably.
break from your normal life. It's a good stress buster as well.
Hmm.
And I think in Mumbai, if you get that time, it's a luxury. Yeah.
And
But
you get a
should
good
remove
place
time.
also to do this.
Yeah.
So I think
Yes.
place and time is very important in
Very,
Mumbai.
very important.
Yeah. So tell me, while growing up, right? How are you as as a kid, as a child? Were you naughty? Were you studious? How are you growing up? And then, whom are you more closer to? Your mom, dad? I think you have a brother also, if I'm not wrong.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So how was your relationship? How are you? Run us through a little bit. Give us some example, while growing up, what were you like?
Right. So I would say I was a naughty kid.
Oh.
Yeah. Definitely became studious later on, what was needed. But growing up, I was naughty. I have a brother who's 1 year elder.
Okay.
And he was also extremely, I think he played a very important role in my life in terms of being the inspiration, and I will give him credit for the person that I am today. But in terms of who I'm close to, I think I would say I'm equally close to all of them. Like as a family, we've been really, really close. My father also had his own business, but he always ensured that he had time for us. My mom has always been our pillar of support all the time. And but yeah, growing up, I was a naughty kid who would, जैसे ही मौका मिले चलो नीचे जाते हैं खेलने के लिए. So I was that kind of a kid. Not the most studious one, I would say, up to 5th and 6th. But after that, I think it picked up, and I then became more focused on studies. But of course, did not leave behind that naughty side. I would always like that child in me to stay. But yes, and yeah, I think all of us as a family have also enjoyed together. Like we'll always ensure, we take 1 or 2 vacations a year. We go out for frequent outings. We go out for frequent movie breaks. Or the moment we get like a 3-day holiday, chalo, let's go for a road trip. Okay, where can we book our tickets to? So that's always been our life as a family. We've been really close, more like friends together, I would say. So yeah, close to all of them, and all of them have played a great role in inspiring me to be the person I am today, I would say.
What is that one thing that your brother inspired, that you said like he's been an inspiration? So how has he inspired you? What did you pick up from him?
Yeah, I think the very fact that nothing is impossible. So for example, he was the first one in the family to even get a CA rank. So he was also a rank holder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So no, I think just credit goes to his ambition, and obviously
Credit goes to the parents.
Of course, yes, definitely, no doubt.
Without their Milan, there would have not been 2 rankers in the.
So so I mean, and the most important thing is, in spite of achieving so much, he's been extremely humble and a great human being. So keeping that balance of also doing very well academically, professionally, and being a great human being, I think that's extremely.
What does he do now?
So he is also vice president 6 Sense Ventures. He's also in
okay.
the venture capital field. Yeah. He's also been a CA ranker, then he went to ISP, was a gold medalist at ISP as well, and now he's also in the venture capital space.
So this, since you and your brother both are academically so strong, and now probably professionally also, does this come from your parents? Your parents have also been very academically highly strong or something, or what it is?
Yeah, so I would say, of course, they've, my dad's also been like, entrepreneur in his own kind, and he set up his entire business of over 20 years all by himself, and given us everything that we needed all by himself. So I would say that smartness is definitely in the genes, and and more than that, I think it's just a focus over the years on education and focusing on doing the best in this field. So I would say it's a sum total of all these things. Their genes, of course, and also their focus and.
But were they academically very strong, or
yes,
it was?
Yes, I would definitely say they were academically strong as well. Yeah, in fact, everyone in the family,
Acha.
Yeah.
So studies and education has run properly in your family.
Yeah, most important.
For example, in our family, it was not that strong. So my mom, dad, they are not academically that strong.
Okay.
But they put focus on education for me.
Right.
And even in my larger joint family where I've been raised. So as a family, my parents, my chacha, chachi, granddad, academically no one is that strong. But they put a lot of focus on us, on my generation, my cousins, etc., to get us studied properly. So I think that's what I wanted to,
Got it.
see that.
No, I would say in this case it's a mix of both. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. They were also quite strong in their own fields, and of course the focus was there since the start.
Got
Yes.
it. Got it. You had mentioned, I saw one of your videos. You mentioned that session at Nalsar University.
Correct. Yes.
You have been on the other side where probably as a student you have attended lectures or
Correct.
sessions of some guest or some speaker who's doing very well in his or her field, and now you are giving a session to the students probably of that university. Tell me, how does it feel when you are on when you are listening and when you are attending someone's session, and then when you are given an opportunity to speak to those students probably as a speaker,
Got it.
as a
Yeah.
guest. So how does it feel for you when, like, how do you reflect? And why I'm asking this is because when I have given such sessions or when I have done something, when I'm trying to give back to the students or such sessions, I end up, before giving that session and even after giving that session, I end up reflecting, 5 years back where I was.
Yeah.
तभी
No.
शायद पढ़ाई ही कर रहा था.
हाँ.
Still not even not much money, so pocket money मिलता था from parents, so we're not earning
Yeah.
at that time, we're studying or something. And then today, after becoming a CA, probably starting your own firm, etc., now trying to give back or trying to spread that knowledge again. So I end up reflecting those years again, 5 years, 10 years back. So how does it go in your head?
No, absolutely. I think it's very well pointed out. So because like back in college, when we would have all of these sessions, of course, it'd be interesting to know what's happening outside your field. So would always be on the, and as a student I realized that I wouldn't relate to a lot of concepts. So while a lot of speakers would come and a lot of technical terms were thrown up, and I would probably later Google it, अरे इसका क्या मतलब था, वो क्या था. But I was a very curious student that way. So when I started taking these sessions, so it was very interesting to ensure that okay, the students are extremely engaging, they get what I'm saying, and in terms of the concepts also, like if I'm explaining it to like kids, how would they understand it, how would they understand how venture capital works. So I got that learning also in terms of how to take that session. So that was a great learning. And secondly, it was very good to be on the other side to also understand how it feels for the speaker to when you actually speak to such curious minds. So it was a great learning there as well. And always I think being back to college or schools is a great feeling, right? Because you're interacting with the best minds, and everyone has such a different thought process, I realize. So because for example, just on one thing, someone will think from a different angle, someone will think from this angle, that angle. So as kids, you don't have any filtered thought process. So all your questions are so unfiltered. So even when I was in college, when we were in the crowd, we would discuss amongst ourselves, okay, agar ye hota to kaise hota, ye hota to kaise hota. Nowadays, students have also started speaking it up loud in the crowd. It's very interesting to interact with them and know different thought process and perspectives from a student's angle. Yeah.
So did you when you are speaking to them, which was your first session that you did, live
so
for any university?
was my first offline live session. Before that, I'd taken a couple of online sessions.
Okay.
But yeah, Nalsar was the first offline live
How was
session.
the feeling when you're standing on the stage and you're speaking?
I think it was just too good. And honestly, since I love speaking in such crowds, so it
Achha,
just
you
felt
love?
home.
You
yeah,
love
yeah,
it.
I love speaking. So even in school, I was quite active in all these activities.
Okay.
Yeah. so it just
Debates
felt
and
home.
all.
Debates and all co-curricular activities, elocutions and everything.
Elocutions and all.
Yes.
Okay. So you really like doing this basically in
I love
front of a
doing this,
crowd.
Yeah. I think during the CA years there was a break of 2-3 years because of course you get focused on studies. But being back to this platform is always nice. It feels home. Yeah.
Got it. Now you probably spent, when you said right now, right? I think 5th, 6th standard tak you were very naughty, and then you started focusing on studies little more harder, probably I
Yeah.
would put it. You've topped Maharashtra State 12th standard. I mean that's like crazy.
Yes.
And then after that you did another crazy thing. You ranked in CA. 37th rank, right?
Yeah, that's right.
37th rank, my God. So first of all, I am a third attempt cleared CA.
Okay.
And I don't have any friends who have ranked CA.
Okay.
So it feels also good to speak to a ranker, right? I want to know your thought process while studying, and मतलब ये कैसे change कैसे हुआ, like because till 5th 6th probably you were average, if I'm not wrong. That's what you were, or no?
I would
or you
say
were more
above, yeah.
above average.
Yeah, I would say that, yes.
And then later on, what was the shift that 12th May you became a state topper? Like there would be like how many students appearing for CBSE or SSE 12th or whatever? Crazy. And then this CA rank, how many people appear for CA finals? So that's like madness.
Yeah, no, I mean, so let me take you through the journey. So even while in the early years, after 6th also, I would say I was a decently bright student. But 7th, 8th onwards is when I decided, okay, I think, again, coming back to my brother, he was a topper throughout his schooling life.
Oh.
So I realized, okay, I think I should also target for that. So 7th, 8th onwards is when I also started consistently, being in the top 3 in the class. And then 8th, 9th, 10th, I was also fortunately topping my school in Bombay Scottish. So 10th, I was also like the school topper. I think that's where the journey began. Then I thought it was possible, and of course a lot of merits of topping. So and then set my eyes on that every time there was a exam where it was possible to do so. So 10th was the first time when I actually topped at a, let's say, at a school level. 12th was Maharashtra level, and
10th you did school level also.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and and when I was in school, and obviously whenever the board results would come out, I would see all these toppers and their pictures come out in the newspapers, and I would actually wonder, what does it take to be there? Like, कितना ही पढ़ते होंगे, कितना effort डालते होंगे यार, मतलब I used to, in my mind, and I used to read that when I was in like 6th, 7th, and it just looked very far-fetched that time. And then as I got closer to the years and, coming to those board exams where I was also part of the crowd, where students from my batch would actually be featuring in the papers. So then I realized, okay, I think, this could be possible. So I mean, it was always like, you say the law of attraction, you manifest it, right? So I always had my eyes on that and thought, let's work towards it, right? कुछ नहीं होगा तो उससे कम नहीं मिलेगा, at least you'll get closer to it. So 11th and 12th I did try to aim for it, and touch wood, that worked out. So 12th, that's how I think that happened, the Maharashtra state top, and then of course when you achieve one thing, you feel okay, you can also try for something better and you can achieve it. So that's how I just kept my eyes on it, I would say, and then your mind automatically works towards it. The energy just work towards it, I would say. So, yeah.
So what I believe, this is my understanding, there are two kinds of students when they are giving such exams or something, or any exam, right? एक होते हैं जो रट्टा मारते हैं, okay, जिसमें मैं आता था. I was a rattu popat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I used to really rattify things. I was very good in maths and accounts. Accounts, of course, in 11, 12, whenever it started. But numbers I was very good, right? Coming from a Gujarati family, and numbers was my strong point. Uske alawa, I was rattu popat. I only used to understand numbers very well, and I could memorize, I could do the calculation without calculator required.
Yeah.
So I used to do that basically, okay. Now, so that is one category. Second is people who grasp like this, and it is effortless for them. Like, of course, from someone else's perspective, it looks effortless. That person would obviously be doing hard work, putting in the efforts, and would eventually having a good grasping power. So were you in that category?
Yeah, I would say, again, like I wouldn't completely put myself in one category in black and white, but definitely more on the latter, I would say, because for me, conceptual clarity was extremely important, and especially for a subject like CA, like you said, maths and all of that is fine school level. CA, I don't think it was possible without that conceptual clarity. Of course, leaving aside subjects like ISCA and all, which I don't think any CA student would
Yeah, that was
relate
too
to.
boring.
Yeah, so those had their limitations, but definitely I think for me conceptual clarity was very important. Because like I would just be like the ma'am is studying it, I would just get a headache understanding it. So I would place myself more in the latter, and again maths was again my favorite subject in school as well. So those kind of subjects where actually I could use my mind to solve something, could challenging that was something which appealed to me ever since
I liked maths in school, of course,
Yeah.
and then in CA finals, I liked SFM a lot.
Yeah,
Because it
true,
was
correct.
stocks, it was valuation,
Correct.
it was removing some kind, like solving some problem.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I loved SFM, and I had scored. I think I had got a ये क्या बोलते हैं, what do you call when
Exemption. Yeah.
exemption in SFM.
Yes.
But the other subjects where I was like, as I said, I used to ratify it. Like, I was a very hard worker in school, in
Yeah.
college, in CA. So I used to put in the hours, but
Got it.
my grasping power was really slow. So I used to put in the hours and then, be very disciplined about it. I was very disciplined. I know itne hours mein I will memorize it
Yeah.
and I'm done. Then tomorrow morning I'll again revise it. I'm done. I'm good to go. I'll get good marks. I'm not aiming to become a topper or something like
Yeah.
that. One thing what had happened very funnily was in the first attempt in CA final. I
Okay.
don't know, many people would not know this also, but my close friends and they, family know. In the first attempt in CA final, in law paper, which is the fourth paper,
Okay.
right? Group 1 ka fourth paper,
Okay.
law. In that, I had really memorized it all well. Sab kuch I had remembered properly. I don't know during the paper what happened,
Okay.
and I completely blanked out, zoned out.
Okay.
And it was so frustrating at that point in time. And another more frustrating thing happened where, in that school, in that, I don't know, school tha ki college tha, the seats were very close by. मतलब
Okay.
ये row है and उसके बाजू में that row is like literally touching, very little space, just leg space to move out. इतना ही था, and there was another person sitting next to me in that
Yeah.
मेरे बाजू वाले seat पे on that row, parallel row. And I could see a little bit in his paper, okay. And there's a CA final, trying to copy in CA final. So I've always copied, ऐसा कुछ ये
Oh,
नहीं है.
wow.
So from school तो इतना चलता है. So in CA final, trying to copy, and that guy, I could see his paper. मेरे को दिख रहा था what he is writing. I could read also. So I was just trying to call him that, shh, or something very lightly, trying to whisper, bhai, thoda, just open your arm like this so I can read.
Yeah.
You don't do anything, I will do everything. Just keep your arm open
Yeah.
so that I can read like this. Don't. And that guy, he just put his arm like this. So he covered the paper.
Okay.
It was so frustrating. I'm like, dude, that's the only chance. Just give me one word. I just need that one word. Then it will come to me. Because I've memorized it, but I'm just getting blanked out.
Yeah.
ये question का answer क्या है? So that was with me, that in that kind of like where you have to memorize, where you have to ratify, you sometimes zone out.
Yeah.
And if it would have been conceptualized properly in my head, then probably that zone out would not happen. So, but then later on, second, third attempt, I did conceptualize law, and I gave it very thoroughly. Ke now I have to crack it. Now I'll not go ratified. I'll try to understand that section. Whether it's going to come to use to me in the future does not matter.
Yeah.
But I try to understand it better. So.
No, I think that makes sense because even in the long run, and I think like you said, you like SFM, right? So that also must be helping you in your current investment banking practice.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I feel go deeper and try to understand कि क्या है, क्यों है, the concept about it. So it might just trigger more interest in the subject as well. But yeah. So.
But funnily, this is when CA final SFM I was doing practicing stuff.
Yeah.
Funnily, I did not know that I want to get into investment or equity for that matter or IB funding. You know, I never knew that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always about, you know, getting into some good CA firm, either big four or mid-size. And that time GST was in the reckoning. It was
Got
coming.
it. Yeah.
2014 end की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं.
Right. Yes.
So that time GST was about to get launched, but it was, मतलब, I think it was already in the mix that it's going to come in the
Correct.
next 1 year. So I think that will be a good scope. So indirect tax may will be good, you know, when you start from the scratch in GST, you'll have an upper hand against anyone else coming later on in GST.
Correct.
So that was my idea, but then eventually it did not work. I was not getting any interest, and I started finding a lot of interest in equities, in stocks. And then once I cleared, so I started finding a job in that industry.
No, I think that's very true, and that's what, even if, you know, someone asks me what I should do, that's why I say, like, just go with the flow, like, because when you're so,
Plan नहीं कर सकते.
yeah, you're too young to decide कि यार 5 साल बाद क्या करना है. So you should just go with the flow. Whatever opportunities are coming, just take them, explore them, see if that, you know, fits your interest. Because honestly, even when all of us started CA, no one really knew how practically investment banking, venture capital, or private equity works.
Yeah.
Only once you get into it, or you actually have people working in that and you talk to them closely, you understand. So I also totally understand, and, you know, that's what even I keep telling people. Yeah, don't set your mind on something too early by just, you know, because of how fancy it looks, or, you know, how glamorous it looks, because that's not how it always might be. And everyone has their own liking. Like, I know some people who love tax, who love audit. Some people who might not even like consulting a lot. So it's a mix of everyone's interest in what, you know, they like.
But sometimes they end up doing that also, which they don't like.
Yeah, which is the worst thing to happen. So take your time, but, you know, do and be happy in what you do, I would say.
Yeah, that's very important.
Very
I
important,
think very important. You get a good night's sleep.
And
when
especially
you...
for CAs, I feel there's so many opportunities.
Yeah.
Every subject you study itself is a different field in itself to explore. So take your time, explore opportunities, and then figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, that's actually a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I never looked at it that way, that there are 8 subjects. I don't know now if it has increased or something.
I think it's reduced.
Not
It
too
becomes
sure.
6.
It's become 6.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, but that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And
That
then
you have
beyond
law.
that-
So law mein you can then again pursue LLB after
Correct,
CA,
that
and then
becomes an expertise in itself. Then you have tax. Tax may also you have direct.
direct and indirect.
Yeah.
But ISKA, is there something in ISKA also?
No, so in fact, I also know a CA who's into like your risk audits, risk management. I think ISKA is very similar to that. Who do like IT system audits, IT security audits.
And I think this is very niche, and
Very
you get
niche.
paid probably very well, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
probably, because
in
it's a very different
risk
skill set
management.
altogether.
Yeah. Okay, coming to your professional work, right?
Okay.
So straight from CA, you joined, I think, Ultratech, Aditya Birla Group,
yeah.
and as a manager or something.
Yeah.
You were there. And then you joined the VC, right?
Correct.
So run us through that journey. How did that work? You've been, I think, professionally, your professional career is 5-6 years now.
Correct, that's right.
So run us through what have you gone through and what have been your experiences at the Aditya Birla Group, as I think you were in Ultratech or something.
I
or
can
no?
take you through the journey.
Yeah, please.
So basically, 2018 when I cleared CA, so Aditya Birla has these finance leadership programs for CA rank holders. So got selected into that, and I also did not know what what all opportunities would come my way. So just thought let's explore, and have been grateful for that so far. So the first year is you basically get 3 stints of 4 months each into different group companies.
Oh, wow.
And all of them are totally different domains. So like my first stint was with an HR tech company, which was a pricing strategy stint. Then my second stint was in the US, which was subsidiary of Hindalco, which was again onto financial reporting and
So that was proper
corporate
physically
finance.
going to US
Yes,
for
yes.
that. Okay.
So that gave great cultural exposure as well. Then my third stint was back in Mumbai at the head office with the corporate finance group, which was into hardcore mergers, acquisitions, and investor relations and all of that. Then post that, we get like placed on a role for 2 years. So I was with Ultratech in the CFO's office. So where I looked at investor relations, corporate restructuring, financial planning analysis, and more related to what a CA would usually do in the industry side. And post that, then the venture capital fund was just being set up actually.
Okay.
So it's directly a product of the founders. So they were just building their team and they were just ideating on how to build the fund. And that's when fortunately I got reached out and was one of the first hires of the fund and have been with the fund since then. It's been a great journey throughout. But that's how the professional journey looked like.
What is your day-to-day activity as a VC? For many of the viewers who would not know, and I think different VCs, of course, have different probably
Correct, yeah.
activities and stuff like that. But what do you do on a day-to-day basis? How does your operational task look like?
Right. So I would say it's totally unstructured. Like if I say today your day looks like that, might not look like that tomorrow. But broadly, since our objective is talking to as many founders as possible. So let's say you would schedule 3-4 calls during a day. So you would talk to founders from different fields, different segments. Meet them virtually or in person, how it's feasible. And once you've spoken to them, if something is of your interest and fits your thesis, you get the data from them. So you do an evaluation of the data, full number crunching, where they are, understand the margins, business profile, and simultaneously also building a thesis for a particular sector. So if I'm tracking a particular sector, let's say consumer, I will build different segments where we can probably reach out to companies. So that's another thesis building which goes on parallelly. Then also talking to a lot of your investment bankers, fellow VC analysts, associates, understanding if they are looking at a particular segment, a particular company, getting insights on deals.
Okay, here I'll just want to pause
Sure, please.
So that before you go ahead, I can
Yeah.
clarify. And for probably the viewers also, this would be a little
Absolutely.
bit new. So when you say making thesis,
Yeah.
what does it mean? मतलब उसमें आप क्या करते हो?
Correct. So let's say if I look at consumer brands as a sector.
Okay.
So consumer brands could have various subsectors. They could have, let's say, beauty and personal care, which are cosmetic products.
Okay. Give us an example. So right now, I think you said you guys invested into Mokobara. Sorry, the luggage.
Correct.
Travel luggage
Correct.
startup. So on that perspective, give us an example how your thesis, that part looks like. What did you do for that Mokobara in terms of the thesis when you were studying?
Got it. So in terms of that, I think I would say the thesis would be divided into 4-5 subparts.
Okay.
The first is an industry level understanding. So understanding how big is the luggage industry is in India, and since that's in the higher price category, so how many people in India would actually purchase a slightly higher priced luggage, the likes of Samsonite and all of that. So understanding how big that market can be. Then second is understanding who are the competitors in that segment.
Okay.
So the existing competition, what price points are they selling at? Are they really a competition? And how scaled have they, what scale have they reached to? So these are the two important aspects from an industry aspect. Then if you go deeper on the business profile, so business profile would be understanding the financial performance of the company, understanding the business, which means the founder's background, their pedigree in running the business, the qualitative aspects of the business, how they plan to execute it, the designing, etc. And the most important thing is a risk return analysis. If you invest today and if you're exiting after n number of years, would you get the return that you're expecting, or some estimated return that you can get at that point in time. So these are 4-5 things that we looked at, and once we got conviction all of that is then we went ahead with and invested in Mokobara.
What is the average return that you all look at, and over what period of years? Just you guys as a fund.
Right. So obviously it would vary, but like we look at say 15 to 20% return over 4 to 5 years.
IRR of 15 to 20%. Okay. And this is across sectors 15 to 20%?
Yeah, this is from a fund perspective.
From a fund perspective, that is what the IRR is.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now go ahead. You were explaining about the thesis, and then the next step, what do you do?
Yeah, so this is basically a thesis building part of it.
Got it.
So as a part of my work, you mean what I do?
Yeah.
Right. So talking to a lot of investment bankers, understanding, of course, talking to you as well. I think that's how we also met. So yes, understanding, what kind of opportunities you can bring, and speaking to fellow people in the VC ecosystem. And then if you like something, taking up a deal like how we saw Mokobara, and taking a deep dive and taking it to the investment committee for a final approval.
So you guys also speak internally in the VC ecosystem. Let's say you got this Mokobara.
Right.
So if there is some other VC who has invested in a luggage travel startup, you'll happen to speak to them, or
yes,
does it become competitive or something like that? Or
no, we do happen to speak to them. So we might speak to them more from a luggage industry perspective. What are insights on the space without giving names of the company? So we would try to gather insights on the space and the market. So that's how we would approach
But
it.
that happens basically.
Definitely.
To get
I think it's more
views.
like a must before any opportunity. So
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you all are to do, I'm sure you all would be doing some background check on the company also, on the startup.
Absolutely, yes.
So how do you all do that? Like, do you all speak with creditors, debtors, or like what?
So in that case, we usually have like big fours or some agencies who would do like a due diligence on it. So financial due diligence is done by some big four, so they take care of the numbers part. Then we also have someone to do the legal due diligence. So all the compliances and rules regulations are taken care of in that. Apart from that, we also do our own commercial due diligence, which is like talking to customers. And if there are some, let's say, major, B2B companies that they're dealing with, so or any major item we see on their P&L which needs attention, and we dig deeper and then understand the why and what about it, and speak to the person if needed. But that's what we do from our end.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Understood. I think that breaks down what
Yeah.
you are doing as a VC, and probably what other VCs would also be doing on a day-to-day.
I think
little
more or
bit
less the
variation.
approach would remain the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
Little bit variation, but the tasks would more or less remain the same.
Yeah.
Talking to founders.
Correct. The level of depth I think each VC would go into would vary, but more or less the structure would remain the same.
Okay, got it. Share us an experience about any startup that you have invested and you have really handheld that deal, from start till end, and where you really like so in my conversation with other VCs and angels, etc., right, what I figured is that everyone has that one startup. Probably अगर उनका experience ज़्यादा है तो maybe 2-3,
Yeah.
but otherwise someone who's 3-4 years like yourself in VC, एक startup होगा where you would be like deeply proud of them, you would have a little bit of soft corner because you've helped them get invested, probably you supported them from the start.
Correct.
From day one,
Yeah.
and now you see them becoming something, so you feel that I was there behind, I was involved in some capacity with
Yeah.
them. And so share us, maybe if you don't wish to take a name, that's fine, and even if you wish to, that's fine, but share us your experience. What did you do with that startup, and अभी वो कहाँ पे है, जब वो आपके पास आए थे तब वो कहाँ पे थे, what was your role into it, and what learning did you get from that entire journey?
Got it. So yeah, I think very rightly said. For me, I would say Jiva, which is our portfolio company, is very close to my heart in that respect. It was also one of my first few deals, and we came in at a very early stage, and now it's grown like 2 to 3x from there on. So phenomenal growth since then.
What does Jiva do?
So they're a silver jewelry company. They make like silver jewelry in the affordable segment for the masses.
Is it what do you call? What is that word I'm forgetting? Is it like real silver or?
Yeah, it's real silver.
Real
jewelry.
silver.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
got it.
So they would be competing with the likes of like Mia by Tanishq and
Okay.
yes. So came in very early. We're closely working with the founders as well, and that also was a very important deal for me because it was one of my first few deals, and it was part of every process from the first conversation we had with the founder, meeting them, and doing the conversation with the promoters, then even closing the legal documentation for that deal. So end to end, I was thoroughly involved. And since Jiva being a retail player, it has a lot of synergies with our group as well in terms of the expertise we can provide. So we also kind of provide them a lot of mentorship later on in terms of setting up their stores offline. They have a lot of stores now. I think if you go to malls, you'll see Jiva stores. So and even the founder, if he would probably need something, let's say on the accounting aspect, how would you account for inventory? We would be really quick to connect to them and how you can account for your inventory, mark them, setting up your stores, how you should do the designing of the stores, you could save a few rupees here and there. So all of that has been a great experience, and now they're doing really well. So I would say it's a great learning also in terms of how they build the business, and they've also moved to a new office now. So we've gone to their earlier office, now they've taken a new space. So it was a great journey. Like you said, feel like a part of it since when we invested to now where it's scaled. So would love to see it grow more and more.
So this is, y'all were the first investors? Was it the pre-series or seed round or what?
This was more like the Series A round. So we came in the second round of investment, second institutional round.
Okay, which is
Yeah.
Series A, which they
Yeah.
had done. Okay.
Series A, yeah.
All right. What was that one thing that struck with you for regarding those founders when they had approached, or like how did you feel that acha ye, this is something really good? And
I think there was a lot of clarity in their vision and a lot of conviction in terms of how they would execute it. So obviously once we got that, then we also dug deeper in the numbers, and the numbers were very convincing as well. So that's how then things went ahead and we took it. And the founders are great people as well, so love working with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Are you a hands-on VC or?
No, more like we try to provide them help wherever they need us. So yeah, otherwise we let them do what they want. It's their business. Let them drive it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned about the Jiva, right? Even like small thing like how to do an accounting entry for inventory or for something like or even design aspect of the store. How do you guys come into the picture? Is it like you'll connect them with the right people,
Yeah,
or
that's
you
right.
actually go out there and probably help them, or you give your perspective on the design, or what?
No, we connect them with the right people because we have like pantaloons and a lot of retail stores which are set up, so they have the expertise there. Sorry. So yeah, you connect them with the right mentors in the group, and then they take it ahead from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that retail leverage really help? Do they get advantage in terms of pricing somewhere, costing, saving,
I would say
or
cost
that
saving,
reach,
yes.
that distribution reach? Do they get probably like pantaloons, as you said, right? So pantaloons
Right.
ke andar.
So they do have like a few kiosks and pantaloons, so that kind of reach they get. Even to ABG employees because they all know we've invested in Jiva, so that the word of mouth might help, in terms of creating awareness. And otherwise, I think great cost savings in terms of mentorship that they get from the group leaders on how you can set up stores.
Got it. Got it. Tell me something. This is, and you may wish to not answer also because this is little on the commercial part. When let's say someone like Jiva, right? They want to set up. Of course, they've come. You guys have invested. They are setting up in pantaloons, as you said, some kiosks, etc. Is there the monetary component same what is there for other brands who are setting up in pantaloons, or they get some kind of some offers, or I don't know, something like that? How does it work?
So see, that would be dictated by the agreement they have with pantaloons. But from let's say a price point to a customer, it remains the same.
Okay.
Yeah, but otherwise there would be like specific agreements between them and pantaloons to dictate
But
these
do they
things.
get a discount or something in that agreement with pantaloons? कि अच्छा Aditya Birla Ventures has invested, तो मतलब कुछ होता है ऐसा कि नहीं? Or it is on their negotiation, it's
Yeah,
between them?
it's totally dependent on the negotiation. There's nothing fixed like that.
Nothing fixed like
Yeah.
that. Okay. But you all can just get him that entry, कि you will get
Yeah, we get
easy
them a foot
entry
in
out
the
here.
door in terms of making the conversation. Even after that, it's up to them and the company to decide if they want to take the partnership ahead. So we don't force upon that.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, then you all just connect and then it's up to
then
them.
it's between them to decide how they want to agree to it.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So one you shared like a good experience of your startup, right? Tell me again on a no-name basis. That's fine. Any startup where you've not had a good experience, like probably even after investing, but the experience has not been good, or the returns have not been that, the performance has not been up to the mark, and like इतना मेहनत किया, but फिर भी it did not probably turn out to be the way you guys expected to be, and you
Right.
put in a lot of work, but ultimately that वो दिखा नहीं in the result or in the founder's executional capabilities or whatever. So share us that experience.
So I would say this is the nature of the VC industry. मतलब ऐसे experiences, of course, is a part and parcel of this space. But we've not had a very bad experience. So, and since we're very young in the journey as well, so on the returns part, I would still say, we would have 2-3 years to comment, because even if right now it might not be in the best phase, things change. Something can suddenly pick up at any time. So till you don't actually realize a return, I wouldn't say that you've actually not made returns. So I would say in terms of the experience, of course, not everyone might be doing as well as you expect or as you project, but everyone's doing decently well in terms of building their business. Some might be doing it at a slow rate, some might be doing it at a fast pace. Some might have also maybe decided to do a certain business model, but they've changed it and focused on a different line of business. But I feel it might be a little too early to comment from a return perspective also. But that's also been a great learning journey in terms of still staying put on the journey and focusing on the right business line, and not being too adamant कि यार यही सोचा था तो यही करना है. So you have to be a little flexible in that terms कि okay, if this can give you business, then okay, let's try this as well. So I would say that's my learning from working with a startup like that. But yeah, not a very bad experience. I would say all experiences were good because they were all learnings for me. Yeah.
So you all have not got or taken any exits for now, is that?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Because we started this fund like 2.5, 3 years back. So I think another 2, 3 years to go before
Yeah.
the exit.
6 to 7 years minimum.
Yeah.
Hota hai. Okay. But when you say that, okay, you know that the returns have of course not yet come out because it's not monetized yet. It's not, you guys have not exited. So pata nahi chalta. But somewhere where you feel that acha, are there instances also where you know those founders are very hellbound and they don't take your inputs, or they are like, ठीक है अभी now investor आ गया, funds आ गया, and you know now I'll do my own thing, you know, I don't need to listen to them. Have you also encountered such people? Because I remember our first deal when we had done, so the angel investor who had put in the money, that was an angel deal that we had done, and the founder which was there, and this is during COVID time I'm talking, first COVID, and probably the first 2 months only when it was still a lockdown, April or something, I don't know. Yeah, April 20. In that time, we had that investor had invested. After that, on all the calls, whatever, and that investor was from a similar industry. That's why he invested in this, where he's like, he was a CFO in a top-notch company, global MNC. And it was a similar industry what these guys were doing, of course, with new tech and new stuff like a startup, right? He invested, but on all the weekly calls, bi-weekly calls, etc., whatever suggestions the investor was giving, depending on his experience, that investor was also CA, CFO since 20 years. These guys were not following, you know, that well, and they were not taking that much, you know, what do you call it?
Interest.
Yeah, they were not taking that much interest, you know.
Okay.
एक होता है कि ठीक है आपने लिया, there were 5 suggestions, you took all the 5.
Correct.
And you can understand from that person's body language and tonality that अच्छा ये 5 दिया इन्होंने, I think these 3 make sense where I can give it a shot, and you put your efforts, right? वो efforts कहीं ना कहीं दिखता है, and then it did not work out. That's a separate thing, that it did not go as per planned or whatever the suggestions were. Second thing is that you don't end up taking only, and you ignore the fact that there is someone who's put in the money, and more than money, he's vastly experienced in the similar sector. So थोड़ा सुन लो. तो
Correct.
you know, so
No, I would say I think we've been fortunate to work with a second set of founders who've you know, taken our inputs, because we also frequently meet with them once a while to understand the updates of the business. And since as an investor also, we don't get too much into the day-to-day working of the company. So we also try to provide inputs only when they seek it actually. So it works more like the other way around.
yeah, of course.
Correct. So they've been very receptive to them, I would say. Whether they actually execute or not is of course a very you know, practical game which they have to see at a ground level. But I would say they've always been very receptive. I think we've worked with a good set of founders, and that's also actually one of the deciding factors when we probably invest in a company. That, you know, because that reflects on the founder's background and attitude. Like, how is it going to be to work with him going ahead? Because, you know, it's like building a partnership. It's like a marriage of a company and investor. So you want to be smooth and easy going. So if we get that vibe initially, then it might become like a question whether you want to invest also or not. So, you know, we've chosen our founders and, you know, founding teams also very wisely that way.
How many startups you guys have invested in till now?
Around 8 to 10.
8 or 10.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So, you know, recently I've started working with a startup. The founder is coming from the VC ecosystem.
Okay.
Right, so she has been in the VC with a Bangalore-based VC, and she's like planning to, or already started her D2C brand.
Okay.
All right. I cannot reveal more details about it, but she's starting a D2C brand, right? You know, so I think there are you know, few people. Generally, what is happening as a trend is that people who have been founders, entrepreneurs, they get an exit, they create a fund, or they invest in a fund. तो ये general trend हो रहा है. But यहाँ पे थोड़ा उल्टा हो रहा है, where from a VC, she's becoming a founder. So my question to you is that, do you also sometime in the near term look at yourself as an entrepreneur to start something on your own, or you want to be a part of this VC ecosystem or something? मतलब ये थोड़ा
got it. No, I think
it should not sound like a hiring question, but
no, of course. No, I think entrepreneurship is definitely on my mind.
okay.
So, yeah. And I would also call it I think it's a very common trait for someone to, be in the investing space to move to entrepreneurship. And investing, especially VC, because they've seen the landscape so closely and they've, met with young people, young founders starting up. So, VC to entrepreneurship, and then entrepreneurship with successful exits back to VC is a very common cycle that you will see actually. So, yeah, I would definitely say, some in the mind that thought is definitely there.
It is there?
Yeah.
Wow, so my hunch was little
Yeah.
bit. So why I asked this is also because that you seem to be very strong-headed and very, practical, very, determined about what
Yeah.
you want to do. So these are certain traits of an
Nice.
entrepreneur. So that's why I thought that I should, ask
So I
you this.
guess you hit the nail on the head there.
हाँ. Any particular product or problem that you have in your mind or you've thought about it कि अभी नहीं आया वो time and you've not really
So a lot of
figured out.
ideas keep going on in the mind, of course. So,
Is it going to be with your husband who is also going to then
So,
फिर sixth sense और इससे ही fund ले लेंगे चलो.
nahi, so all of that is still, I would say, work in progress. So, yeah, maybe we'll come closer to that.
So, like, share any few ideas cooking in your head or something, anything, it could be any random thing also, but कुछ है अभी बन रहा है दिमाग में?
So ideas तो आते रहते हैं. I mean, that's how the mind works. Like, for example, personally very passionate about education.
Okay.
So I, thinking of something in that space as well. Otherwise, also sometimes thinking on, let's say, on lines of CA practice. So, what all other new areas you can explore there as well. But I would say still to zero down on something. So nothing concrete right now to talk about. Yeah.
So CA practice में मतलब like a CA practice firm or something to build like a product in that?
No, like something in the practice area only, not a product.
अच्छा,
Yeah.
proper practice जो है.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yes.
So hopefully, your bosses are aware that there is something going to come like this. Okay, no. Jokes apart. So that's good. I think that you want to also probably do something on your own, and I think it's very important that you pursue your passion probably. And I think that was the sole reason why even I started my own firm. And when I started in 2017 and when I left my job in 2017, and so 6 months prior to that, mid 2017 to end of 2017, I was always thinking कि यार now let's try to do something on my own. And it was not that I was not happy with my job. It was not that I was not passionate about it, because that was my passion.
Absolutely, yeah.
It used to really make me feel happy that what I wanted to do while studying CA, I did that.
Correct.
Okay, but it was something where I was feeling that yaar, now I'm young, so thoda I have age on my side.
Correct.
Before I have a family, etc. So I can take a risk to start something, and that was the motive also behind it. Can now, like, if I have learned something, I think I can do similar stuffs, if not do it at the same scale at the company which I was working.
Correct.
At least try to build it over the next 3 to 5 years. अगर कुछ नहीं हुआ तो वापस जॉब में जा ही सकते हैं. CA हूँ, कुछ ना कुछ तो मिल ही जाएगा अच्छे तरह से. So it was there कि let's do it. What's the worst thing? ना, the risk is very minimal.
Yeah.
तो करते हैं. And then I started with a similar thing itself, which was into wealth management, equity research, stock markets, then slowly, steadily into IPOs for SME companies. So I had raised funds for SME company for like via an IPO, then via right issue.
Okay. So all of this was from your own firm?
Yeah, this was my firm.
Okay.
So and then slowly, steadily started getting some referrals through friends and family, etc. for startups. And this was like mid 2019.
Okay, that's when the activity was at its peak as well, right?
Startup activity was not there that time.
I think 29 to 21 is when
हो रहा
it picked up,
था,
yeah.
but it was not so mass.
Okay.
2019 mid was not so mass, which is like where
Today.
startup it is
Yeah,
today, 5
correct.
years down.
Agreed, okay.
It was still getting, hot.
Right.
It was still in that space where people were getting aware about it.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, I happened to be a very early entrant in that. Where in the SME IPO space, I was a very late entrant.
Yeah.
Tab already market was hot. There were like 500 plus IPOs in the SME exchange that had come. People had made money, etc. Everything had happened.
Correct.
And that time it was going down.
Yeah.
तो मेरे हाथ में कुछ आ नहीं रहा था, And in this, fortunately, started getting a few referrals, spoke to founders, understood the gap is there, where these founders come from non-business background, tech, product, engineer, ये वो सब, right? तो इसमें उनको finance sense नहीं है, business sense is lacking.
Correct.
Which probably I have done in my last three and a half,
Correct.
4 years.
Got it.
So how I can add value to them?
More like being a CFO to them.
CFO बोलो, then this investment banking advisor term, वो बोलो. So then I started helping them as an advisor to build their business plans, to build their presentations, eventually to connect them to investors, because I had made a few connects, but those were more traditional SME stock market investors.
Got it.
But now I had to make a little bit fresher in the startup ecosystem, and that time it was very naive. That ecosystem was very raw. There were few funds, of course, and handful of known startups. Flipkart, Myntra, Amazon had entered India with a deal with Walmart and stuff like that, right? Meesho, Ola, Uber,
Correct.
Oyo. So these are bade naam the. There were not so many seed funds,
And even the funding
incubators.
picked up. Like now people have been open to the idea of taking funds. Otherwise,
Yeah.
a lot of them would just bootstrap themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
So that time I started offering slowly, steadily. Just before COVID, we did one deal of funding, and thoda people started referring more. That time I was just one person, and then slowly, steadily, I started understanding that this is something. It's just not a passion, which was my earlier job, but now it's turning out to be a purpose. I really love adding value to people. I really love advising them. I really find goodness in terms of talking to them, trying to help them in whatever capacity that I can with my knowledge, and trying to fill that gap. So that was turning. And then, when I saw this as a reflection, what I was doing in job, so I understood the difference between that passion and purpose. So that's when that entrepreneurship took a little bit more deeper. And now let's focus big time into startup fundraising. So there was also that pivot that was happening from first wealth management, mutual fund distributor, then IPOs, and then startup advisory and fundraising. So even in that, there were like two pivots that happened, and then now concrete thoda isme it is set up.
But then the risk you took after you left your job, so that pay off?
So that eventually it can, I can tell as on today in hindsight that it is probably paying off. Still not there what we want to do, but yeah, it has definitely paid off taking that
So
risk.
you plan to come back to the job scene or stay here?
No, of course, I'll not come back to the job scene here
Nice.
properly.
So which means it's going well, that's good.
That's a good indirect way. So so that was my journey of entrepreneurship. So I hope that even in your case you find something
Let's
of
hope so.
purpose, and
Yes.
can put your VC ecosystem knowledge into
Absolutely.
that thing, right? Tell me, so there are, when you've got CA All India rank, you are probably a very active VC. It requires a lot of focus, correct? So when there is focus, there are two questions here basically. So इसके अंदर generally, of course, people get distracted. It could be anything, right? Drugs, alcohol, stuff like that, right? The surrounding जो होता है. So how did you stay away from that, right? And second is that how do you unwind basically when it is a very studious job. It is a very hands-on kind of a job also, right? We see sometimes it can take hours in office, and when the deal is going on, like I know for a fact that
Yeah.
it can be really very hectic. तो कैसे unwind करते हो?
So again, like since I'm a foodie, so food is a rescue. But for first part, I'm totally a teetotaler. So
Okay.
yeah. So
Likewise.
oh, nice. Good to know that. So yeah, maybe food, go for a movie, just go for a drive. That's how it's been. In fact, that's been through my exam days as well. Like even during CA final, people would just be off WhatsApp, off social media, indoors for let's say 4 months straight. I wouldn't do all of that. I wouldn't like be off social media or off WhatsApp. We would still go out as a family for movies, frequent dinners, outings. I think it's more of a necessity in my opinion. Again, it's a personal perspective because that helps you assimilate better, right? For me, if you put me 10 hours straight just to working, it just crowds your mind. You need that break so that you can assimilate the new stuff. So I think that applies to work as well. So it's just important to take breaks, and each one has their own way of unwinding. So for me, it's going for a dinner, a movie outing, or just a small travel plan. Yeah, like because I love traveling as well. So जब भी मौका मिले चलो बस निकल पड़े.
What was the last location you traveled?
Last we've gone to Missouri in December. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Nice, sweet. All right. So this is one question which I really, I'm intrigued about to know from all my guests, and I asked to everyone, right? It is about money. So tell me, like, what has been your first money lesson, right? And from whom it was, and when was this?
Okay. Let me take a moment to think about this.
And before that, if you answer also, maybe you can think, what was your first, maybe your stipend or something, na, when you would be doing articleship, what was your first check? और उसके साथ क्या किया आपने?
So first check, तो सबसे पहले like how we probably give it to a temple and then my parents.
Okay.
So that's how it's been because they're the reason for the first check. So I would attribute it to them.
क्या amount था?
The amount was वही जो हमारा CS stipend होता है, somewhere around 3 to 5K per month types.
5K.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like 3K in the first month and 5K and then something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And my first money lesson. I think it would be more from the fact to like always keep some amount as savings and not spend everything. So although this has been ingrained in us throughout our curriculum and our college as well, but I would believe this lesson would have come from my parents the first time because they're exceptionally good with it when it comes to dealing with it, and I also look up to them for their money habits. So yeah, I would rather say that be wise in terms of your savings and investments was the money lesson which I got, and I think I still practice that as well wherever possible. But yeah, that's been the money lesson that I've got.
Okay. When was this?
This was post CA, when actually you start making money.
Okay. That time you realize the
that's
worth
when you realize, oh, this is your money to take care of it, and that's when you also pay attention to these lessons. उससे पहले you're like, ठीक है यार, आ रहे हैं पैसे, but yeah, that's when it starts becoming more important to you.
Today, let's say if your salary is 100, right? How much do you end up saving? How much do you end up investing? And where all do you invest?
So there's no fixed number to it because it depends, based on like what plans I have in mind. But my investing, I know I answered a little diplomatically, but I invest in like.
That's a good trait of an entrepreneur again.
Oh, again. Thanks.
That's why my question also.
So investing, I'm not the most riskiest investors. So it's more of mutual funds.
Okay.
Yeah, and FDs. FDs is like specific purposes, but yeah, mutual funds is my go-to investment avenue.
Okay. And you end up investing what? Like generally people have, okay, if monthly I'm earning this much, X percentage will go in investment. I know now today's generations, our generation's mindset is more like if we are earning 100 rupees, we first think about spending. And even though we don't think about spending, but automatically chala jata hai, either EMI home loan, car loan, ये loan, वो loan, सब loan पे चला जाता है, and then your household expenses,
Right.
stuff like that, right? Your necessities and stuff. So I think a lot of the thing already goes, and then you want to do your extracurricular activities, little bit of your luxury, etc., shopping, ये वो सब कुछ, and then the end 10-15% जो बाकी रहता है 20%, that you think where should I invest?
Right.
You know, but it should actually be ulta. You first
Correct.
have your
I think
thick and
that
necessity.
habit also changes with your different phases of life. So let's say when you're young, you're more spend free probably, more spendthrift. Then when you gradually realize, okay, you need to save. So I think that changes. But yeah, so that is why maybe that's why there's no fixed number to it. It depends what plans you have in the near future, and accordingly you take a proportion. But I agree with that. I mean, those habits evolve over time, I would say, based on what your life looks like.
So you let's say you have a basic, like, do you plan and have a financial goal and then you save in the FDs or mutual funds? Do you have that? Do you do that basically as a financial goal कि ये 6 महीने का है, 6 साल का है, 5 साल का?
So I would say broadly I do, yeah. So it's not like a very hell-bent number that I will stick to, but broadly I do have some plans in mind. So I try to keep my investments according to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I try to do this very regularly.
Okay.
So
like you stick to a specific
yeah, I have a complete Excel sheet, which is my.
वो तो है, CS can't work without Excel.
Yeah, so that is there.
Travel itineraries are made in Excel.
Yeah, so that is there, and also have sat with my wife to design her financial plan.
Right.
Because she's not from finance background.
Okay.
So you need to really sit her down and explain her and go through everything, right? So we've tried to design. Of course, it has its iterations, reiterations from time to time.
Correct, of course.
But मतलब एक broad picture I've tried to design, which we try to stick to.
Yes.
It can get little bit plus minus kabhi, but broadly we try to stick to.
No, that's right. Broadly, I think we all need it. Otherwise, you'll just go haywire with your finances.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sonakshi, let's come to the last leg of the episode. This is the rapid fire round.
Oh, feels like coffee with Karan right now.
Yeah, you just had coffee, but you didn't have it. So, be rapid, be quick.
Okay.
All right. First question. Boyfriend, now you're probably your husband or your girl's gang, if you have to choose on one free day.
Husband.
Oh, wow. That's sweet. Second, your view on equality for females, more specific in the VC ecosystem, because यहाँ पे थोड़ा कम है, अभी grow हो रहा है, but I think it is still not 50-50, I would say, from my understanding. What's your view on that?
I think talent thrives. So, female, non-female, whatever, as long as the talent and your business idea thrives. So, because we don't look at it like, we don't even know the gender, like when we actually get a proposal. My founder का नाम तो नीचे होता है.
नहीं, in the VC ecosystem.
You're saying from an investor perspective?
From the investor, from your venture
Same,
capital.
but I don't think the answer would change.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some really good female investors also. So
I
would
of
just
course.
say, your talent thrives.
But why is it less? मतलब अभी थोड़ा less है.
I think it would
Though
also.
it is growing, I'm not
Correct.
saying it's not growing, but it has not picked up probably as other industries or profiles. If you'll see in a normal workforce, in a normal company or office, it's still very high.
Correct. Like you said, because it's evolving now. So the veterans were probably, more male dominated. But now since in the education, even, your more CAs, like more females in CAs, more females in MBAs have also grown. So then you can see that function in the VC ecosystem as well. So I think it just starts from the base in education itself.
Okay, got it. Third question, if someone gives you 1 crore and takes away your CA AIR All India rank, what would you do?
No
Yes
way.
or no?
My AIR is very close to my heart.
10 crores?
No.
100?
I wouldn't trade that for any money.
Okay, got it. What do you enjoy more? Probably, fight with your brother or care for your brother? In this, I'm assuming that you must be fighting every sibling.
Yeah,
typically brother sister fight a lot.
With your brother because maybe there is a lot of care and love.
Okay. Last question. If not in the VC, then what would you be doing today?
Maybe entrepreneurship.
That's a good hint. Listen to this, Aditya Birla team. All right. So before we wrap this episode, my last question is that what would be your one piece of advice to a 12-year-old Sonakshi?
I would say go with the flow and don't think कि आगे क्या होने वाला है. You're going for a birthday party, chill, enjoy that to the maximum. You know, like don't even think about tomorrow. I would say because time is precious, and that's what I would love to tell myself. But I also think I've given justice to that. But to the future people also, I would say that just go with the flow.
You also thought about becoming a philosopher or something, like you have good philosophy.
Oh, is it? No, yaar, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है.
Okay.
I think that's just a function of life experience.
All right, great. Chalo, thanks a lot, Sonakshi. I think
Thank
it
you
was
so
a
much.
pleasure doing this, shoot this episode. I got to learn something new. And since this was our first episode with a woman in the VC, in the angel investment community, I think it was new learning for me too. You being so dedicated and heads-on, as a person, I think that is something that every woman who's probably going to view this episode or something should learn, should take a piece or two from this episode. Thanks a lot for doing this with us, Sonakshi. Thank you.
It was a great conversation with you too.
What's up, guys? Before I sign off, I would love to know whether you really liked this video or not. If you did, click on the like button, click on the subscribe button, click on the notification bell so that whenever our video goes live, you are notified first. This would be a really small task for you, but trust me, this would help us a lot in spreading this knowledge world over and helping people level up their knowledge. Signing off, Devansh Lakhani.